Hey everybody, it's Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to today's Esoteric Influences for Monday, the 15th of June, 2020. Well, let me get my notes back up here on the screen. I wrote some stuff here this weekend, and I also did another video. So let's talk about that first before we get started. I did another video on the Foundations and Magic series. This time I did it on working with ritual oils, and I just kind of talked a little bit. The thing about anointing candles, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And one thing that I mentioned is when I do, let's see, where's the candle I used? Oh, here it is here. When I'm trying to banish things, I start at the bottom and I transmute up to spirit. I don't know if I said that though. I just tend to get rid of it. But how I do that is I get rid of it to spirit. I let it transmute into spirit when I banish. Some people banish into the earth so they would go downward. You can do it that way. Again, it's how you see it. But anyway, that was just one thing I was thinking. Did I say that? I don't remember. I kind of think I didn't. I got into the flow of what I was saying, and I sort of skipped over that. But if you saw that, if you watched that, thank you. And one thing I just wanted to reinforce was that when I'm doing the banishing, if I'm doing a banishing working or something, I would then take the oil and anoint it upward to spirit so it can transmute it into spirit. That's how I see it. Again, not everybody does. Some people banishing, they would start in the center of the candle and go downward. They would, let's see, or they might start at the top and go downward. It just depends on how you see it. And again, if you're in a coven, of course, it's going to depend on what you've learned, because covens have a tendency to have a way of doing things. It's their coven's way of doing things, which is great. I mean, that way they can teach any new initiates how things are in the group and how they do things. And that way everyone's in sync. And that's important energetically. If you're working, spells in groups, that you want everybody to be in sync, or at least if each has their own little part to play, then they're doing that. Everybody knows what's happening. So in that respect, it's all in sync, whether you're doing the same things or not. So again, that was just my way of doing things, and other people may do it differently. So check that out if you want to. It's there on the blog. I posted it there. It's also on YouTube. And I think I also posted it over on Patreon, maybe. I think I did that too. So that's up. I did a couple things on Medium, the Esoteric Influences that went up on Sunday, which is what we're going to talk about Mondays here in a second. That, of course, got cross-posted over on Medium as well. As did, I also put up a piece this weekend or Friday or something, or maybe it was Sunday. Maybe I did it at the same time. I was doing the Esoteric Influences, or maybe it was Saturday. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we finally built the potato towers is the name of it. Anyway, check that out. If you want to have an alternative way of growing potatoes, I'm going to do an update on it periodically. Probably I'll do two, as they're growing, what they look like, and then after we harvest, just see exactly how many we get. In theory, the potatoes should fill these massive potato towers, because my husband took woven wire, 4-foot high woven wire that's pasture fence, and we had some just laying around, and he made these massive and they're big, and they're 4-foot high. So I've got 4 levels of potatoes in amongst all the compost and dirt and everything else we have in there. So theoretically they should fill the whole thing, but I don't know because we've never done it before. That's what people say though. So between that and the ones I've got growing in the dome, in the center of the dome, and out in another garden spot, we should have plenty of potatoes, hopefully, not just for us, but to share with others too. So, and you know who you are. It's like, oh no, no more. Yes, we're the garden friends from where. It's like, here, we have too much. Take it. So anyway, excuse the the coughing and everything. Do you know what a cottonwood tree is? Do you know what it does in the spring and early summer? It sheds cotton, and it is so caustic. And I mean, you know, if you didn't have to wear a mask right now, you would have to, being out there, if you were mowing the lawn or working outside. The cotton just flies everywhere and you just get so stuffed up. So between that and the juniper pollen, what a mess. Anyway, every year it's like this. So one year they shed twice a couple of years ago. We don't know what that was about, but my God, it was like, do you have to punish us? Really? Because I've got a lot of cottonwood trees on my property, and it just gets everywhere. And it's like, and when it gets wet, it sort of solidifies into this solid stuff on top of the ground. If you don't pull it off, you can't get water to the ground. I mean, it's awful. I mean, they could pave the roads with this stuff, I think. Seriously. It's that bad when it starts breaking down and congealing together. Ugh. It's just, other than that, it just looks like these cotton things everywhere. It's just icky. Anyway, today we have a 6 energy with the 15th of the month. We also have a 6 energy for the month itself. So higher self definitely coming in and influencing in this 22 year. So higher self influences expressions of shared purpose today. That's the 6. Intuition is strong and new beginnings are possible as we go forth in harmony with others. You know, whether we're, you know, agreeing to wear masks and taking precautions so that we and everyone else stays well, whether it's that or we're marching for social change and racial justice, whatever we were doing, stay vigilant, stay the course, and remain true to your cause today. Aries, the moon's in Aries right now. So again, you know, motivation could be strong today. We may feel like doing everything under the sun that needs doing, but, you know, patience probably still needs to be there. There's a semi-square between the moon and Venus. Love life could be tense. So some of that patience could have to do with, you know, maybe your partner feeling a little out of sorts. And, you know, instead of taking the bait, just, you know, love them. You know, just be loving, drop resistance and be loving and see what happens. You might be surprised. If it's a real issue, it's going to be there. But if it's not, you know, just doing that may be all that anybody needs. And maybe it could be what your partner needs, right? You know, this is the other side of the equation. It's like, well, I have a right to speak up. Sure. But sometimes when people act out or their moods are out of sort, it's actually a cry for help. It's actually saying, hey, I'm really struggling right now, and I can't stop myself from showing it. So the last thing that person needs is to have anybody jump on them, right? And yet we don't feel the room. We don't take the temperature of things. We don't really look beneath the surface and wait. We jump to it and we react and we respond and we defend when maybe we just need to help. So think about that for today, when the moon is still in Aries and all of that. So the rune for today, and I don't have it out here, is Kenaz. We want to allow the light of source presence to illuminate our path and heal our mind and body and spirit. Pay attention to intuition and be transformed. Kenaz looks like this. It's the light of spirit. It's a component of a lot of different runes within the Elder Futhark, as you know from all the exploding diagrams I do. When we talk about the runes on Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune, I'll do that. If the rune that I pull, a lot of the time it's basically vine rune. It's comprised of other runes, and so we talk about that. And you can kind of see how they get the meaning for it, really, just from the runes you can find within it. I just find that so fascinating to do. But in any event, just to let the light of spirit guide your path, let you see and see everything through the eyes of source vision, and then maybe you'll be a source of healing for others today. And let that Aries energy work for you in that regard. So anyway, moving on to the human design section of the Esoteric Influences. Again, that's the combination of planetary positions and the I Ching, which I just think is so cool. But maintaining the highest standards today while we stay the course is the message behind the interaction between the I Ching, the sun, the earth, and the moon's placement at their respective gates of purification, rigor, and objectivity. So right there, purification, rigor, and objectivity really is talking about, and that's why I combined it all together instead of looking at each one. Basically, it's supporting the notion of maintaining our highest standards possible. moving from the standpoint of a higher set of principles, instead of simply from reaction to whatever happens to be happening at the moment. And again, avoid being drawn into conflict by taking a troubleshooter role, both today and for the remainder of the week, as you objectively discern the most appropriate path forward. And that's Mercury's influence. Also, Venus's influence as well. The time is now for maturity in our collective response. Again, you know, that's related to Mars, and also Mars is related to Aries, right? And so when we think Aries, we think the Mars influence, and so that's catalytic energy. It's energy that's, I mean, it's leadership. It's all kinds of things, but it can also be someone that gets so focused on their own worth or their own opinion or whatever, they're pushing it on other people. Sometimes it's best to wait until you're asked for your opinion before offering it, because otherwise it doesn't go over well. And that's something, you know, that human design talks a lot about, in terms of, they define people into 5 categories, one of which is a generator. I'm a generator. It works best if I wait to be asked for my opinion than if I offer it. And so basically, that's the kind of energy that you're working with today. You want to just, yes, you have answers. Yes, you have a way forward. Yes, you have things to offer. But just be mindful on a Monday when it's a moon day and emotions are in flux, that it just they might not be ready to hear it. It isn't that they don't want to hear it ultimately, but right now they might not want to. And that's, I guess, all I'm saying. So I don't remember. I've done this a couple of times, and I know that I said something about it in the other one. So in case I did not, just one more time, if I forgot to mention this, I did a video in the Foundations in Magic series on ritual oils. And so if you want to check that out, it is on the blog. And also it's on YouTube. I have it. I also posted it on Patreon, but you can look at it either on the blog if you're not on Patreon, or you can look at it on the blog. You can see it over on YouTube. But that's just working with ritual oils and how I do it. And again, I talked about, you know, how you want to anoint. The direction is really up to you. It's how you see it. Some people conceive of it one way, others conceive of it another. Do what you want. Do what makes sense to you. It's your energetic intention that you're wanting to cast out in to influence something. And so however you do it, whether it's for banishing, whether it's you're anointing for a healing spell, and you're going to roll it in herbs maybe, however you're going to do this, the directionality matters, but only in terms of your intention. So you may have other groups that say, oh, no, you should do it this way. Well, think about it. If that resonates for you, then go for it. But if it doesn't, your working has to make sense for you, all right? And if it doesn't, then you're going to have energies working against the purpose, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So again, if you watch that, I've given some information. I took everything from Witch Notes, and which is not the latest book I published, but the next to the latest one. If you don't count the second edition of Confessions of a Back Porch Herbalist, that was my first book. And that was about my healing with cannabis, my severe rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm in remission now. And that was something, I didn't think I was going to survive. I was that ill. And so I wrote a book about it, and that was my first book. And from there, I wrote more. Anyway, and so Witch Notes is one of them. And it's just a little compendium of correspondences and herbs and different forms of magic. And it's, in other words, if you forget something, you can look at that rather than taking out your grimoire. It's just all in, some of it's in table format. And it's just, I just wanted something that I could see in the dark. So I have it on my iPad. And that way, if I'm outside doing something or I'm in the dark doing something, I've got something I can refer to that's right there if I need it. If I forget something, it's like, okay, what was the correspondence to that again? You know, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's where I took it. And because I have a little ritual oil section in there of the stuff I use anyway. I don't have everything in there. There's bigger lists out there you can find. But this is the stuff that I typically use. And so, which is why I wrote it. It was just a cheap book for me really. And then I thought, well, heck, I could just publish this thing. And so I did. It's over on Amazon. It's on Kindle and on paperback. So anyway, if you're interested, you can buy it, I guess. And thank you if you do. And you know, it's just a little helpful booklet. And it's not very long. Well, I mean, it's over 100 pages, but I mean, it's just got a lot of stuff in it. So anyway, stuff that I use. But anyway. So that's what I did this weekend, and that's what went up on the blog. And you know, if you want to check all of it out, that'd be awesome. And otherwise, have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.